So nobody is ever going to fill the void of Caitlin Clark at Iowa. It's unlikely that we ever see a player as good as Caitlin Clark, maybe not going to one of the top schools, a team that didn't make the tournament every year, a team that hadn't made a Final Four in a long time, a team that was not expected to do anything and dragging them to a championship. We might not ever see that again. We're probably never going to see, like, as far as like GOAT arguments for college women's basketball, I think what Caitlin Clark did was so different to what any of the other people in that conversation did that if you want to argue Caitlin Clark, you're arguing literally what criteria you have for the GOAT. She was the greatest individual college player we've ever seen, and obviously she had a lot of team success, but maybe not quite the team success that some of the other greats had. But anyway, in this video, we're going to be talking about Caitlin Clark. We're going to be talking about Iowa, and we're going to be talking about who they have to replace her. Before we get on to it, if you guys aren't new to the channel, subscribe. I have no idea how many subscribers we have. If we get to 26.5k by the time I get home on Sunday, or on Monday, that would be absolutely incredible. But Lucy Olsen. Lucy Olsen was a player for Villanova. She has come in to effectively, as a transfer, be that Caitlin Clark replacement. And what Lucy Olsen is, as much as anything, she is a flat-out scorer. Lucy Olsen scores from mid, she scores from three, she can handle the ball. She is that flat-out scorer. Like, she almost made, she made the, under 23s 3-on-3 squad. She played at All-Star Weekend this year. She is that flat-out scorer that this team needs. And if you look last year, she averaged 23.3 points per game. She was third in the nation. She also averaged 4 assists a game. Again, that's 122nd in the nation, but she's not a point guard. I know she's only 5'9", she's not a point guard. Field goal percentage a bit down low, but 5 rebounds a game as well is impressive. 23, 5, and 4. But again, Villanova were an NIT team. They didn't make the tournament, and she's been replaced at Villanova by Holy Cross's best player, Breanna Parr-Cassidy. Holy Cross did make the tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see. I really hope Breanna does well there. As someone that is, I'm not going to say I have friends with Breanna, but someone who's known Breanna since she was about 15. It's impressive seeing an Irish person Lucy Olsen replacing Caitlin Clark, Breanna Parr-Cassidy replacing Lucy Olsen. That's kind of crazy. But that's the thing. And she was exceptional at Villanova. Iowa is still good. Look, this is not an Iowa team that's going to compete for a national championship. But if you want to look at players that are still there, obviously Gabby Marshall's not still there. She doesn't have, I don't know if she has any more eligibility. I think she does, maybe. Or sorry, she doesn't. Either way, it doesn't matter. She's not playing. But you've still got Sydney Fulter, who towards the end of her college career was getting better and better and averaged 8 points a game. You've still got her. You've still got Hannah Stuckey as a runner. And I think she's as good a replacement as you can get. You're not going to find an incoming freshman that's Caitlin Clark. Look, Iowa, they're never going to find a Caitlin Clark. There may never be another Caitlin Clark. You want to know what you need for there to be another Caitlin Clark? You need a combination of the skill level that Clark had, the coach that Clark had in Bluter, the teammates that Clark had, a whole bunch of players did all the dirty work and made life as easy as possible for her and did all the little things. And in return, she found them for layups. She won them games. And, yeah, it's really, really difficult to replace that. And you can't. So you got to go with something a bit different. But the only issue is that other than Hannah Stuckey, you're looking at this team and there aren't many big scorers. There are not many big scorers left, and you've got to replace Caitlin Clark's 30 points a game. And you've probably replaced it with 25 points a game from maybe not as efficient, you're not getting the passing, you're not getting the gravity, but just purely box score stats looking at, you're replacing most of that with Lucy Olsen. And not only that, is you could maybe argue as far as who is the more, who has the bigger quote-unquote scoring bag. Maybe you could argue that Lucy Olsen's is better. I will also say Lucy Olsen is 100% a downgrade, but again, you're never getting Caitlin Clark. She doesn't have the motor. She's not going to sprint all the time. She's not going to draw the gravity. She's not going to be the best college player, maybe ever. But what she is going to be is a big upgrade on what they would have had otherwise. It makes the transition out of Caitlin Clark easier. Because every one of these players, Hannah Stuckey's used to just running as hard as she can and getting 20 points half the games from just running hard. Sydney Fulter, the same. There needs to be some sort of a transition, because the worst thing you can have is not one of those players, not a really good player, not somebody that can do a job, and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh crap, we're suddenly gone from the finals to a sub 500 team with a bunch of players that are so used to one style of basketball they can't play it at all. If I'm Iowa, I do look to transition a little bit away from the way they played, because it isn't just not possible. It is just absolutely not possible to continue to play at the breakneck speed that Iowa play with Caitlin Clark. You need a point guard to do that. But as far as a scoring guard is concerned, you've got that scorer who's going to have multiple 30-point games, who's going to shoot the ball well, who's going to carry you to some wins. You might go be thereabouts making a tournament, and you're going to be a solid enough team. So, fair play to Iowa for making this decision. Ironically enough, obviously if Lucy Olsen hadn't gone, to be fair, probably wanted the spotlight off her. Imagine if Van Lith had decided, you know what, yeah, I'm taking over. LSU didn't work out, I'm going to Iowa. That would have been a funny one. Either way, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Iowa is still going to be a solid team? I think it's just too much of a transition this season. And I think we see a good but not great team. And I think if you're Lucy Olsen, she's somebody that's probably not in WNBA. Like, she's not tipped to be a WNBA player. She's a third leading scorer in D1. But as far as the WNBA are concerned, they're really only looking at a lot of the top colleges or international. Doesn't matter that you're on the USA Basketball 3-on-3 team. So I think she's basically going to be she's going there to get more eyes on her. She's going to be the new Caitlin Clark. And even though she said it, I'm not going to be Caitlin Clark, there's going to be not going to be another Caitlin Clark, which is true. She's not going to be another Caitlin Clark, but I think she's thinking if she can even slightly replace Caitlin Clark, if even in the box scores she can replace Caitlin Clark, she instantly becomes a second-round pick if she wants to. Like, she can become a second-round pick by averaging 25 points a game, averaging 22 points a game. And not, like, she's never going to replace Caitlin Clark, but even replacing Caitlin Clark somewhat, even replacing some of her output on the team, and if the team ends up being even mediocre, I could see a team taking a chance on her, because she is a scorer. She's a mid-range game. She can shoot the three. She can attack the basket. She's got good footwork. She can handle the ball. She's already with Team USA in 3-on-3. So I think for her, this is the best decision. And obviously there is going to be that little bit of pressure on her trying to take over from Caitlin Clark, which obviously she's never going to live up to that. But I do think she's as good a transfer as they possibly could have had this year.